Hello everyone, it's Darren and GNB Productions, and we have finally reached the big one. The film that made me fall in love with this entire franchise and probably my favorite Chucky anything, Curse of Chucky. This movie is so damn good. It marks a return to the horror vibe of Chucky that abandons the hyper-comedic and meta aspect of Bride and Seed and goes back to a vibe that is much more akin to the original film. I've been pretty vocal on how Child's Play 2 and especially 3 were not as enjoyable as where the franchise began. This movie perfectly scratches that itch for me in delivering a Chucky movie that after so long is actually scary again. The story centers around a paraplegic Nika Pierce, living with her mother who receives a good guy doll package in the mail. And very early on, Nika's mother is killed, and the film focuses on Nika and her family coming together, and Nika trying to piece together the history of her family, this doll, and the mysterious Charles Lee Ray. I seriously cannot sing this movie's praises enough. This shit is so damn good. This movie is the first to be brought straight to DVD and video on demand, and is a short-lived era for Chucky, only being about 2 films, Curse and Cult, before going into the TV show. This movie not going to theaters is an honest-to-God shame, but an understandable decision after the blunder that was Seed of Chucky. This movie also serves as a great-ass redemption for Don Mancini as a director. For the uninitiated, Don Mancini has been the main writer for literally every Chucky movie up to this point. But Seed marked his directorial debut, and we all know how that went. Mancini did a damn good job when putting this movie together because there was a clear and distinct visual style that was not present with Seed. I'm not going to go ahead and say it's some of the best style ever made, but it is an amazing evolution from where he left off with Seed. It going to DVD and video on demand also meant that the film had a lower budget than most of the other films, so they only managed to use one prominent location and set, that being the Pierce household. This is probably my favorite setting for any Chucky film, just by how gothic and eerie this place feels. I tend to really love horror movies that keep you enclosed in one setting, because it gives off such a sense of claustrophobia and feeling super trapped. It's one of the reasons why I love the Evil Dead films so much. It also being set in this one place also helps enrich the horror atmosphere, which helps enrich this film even more for me. For the characters, we have Nika and her family, which are just fine. The rest of Nika's family and the performances are, to me, surprisingly on point. Each of these guys do a top-notch job at playing the shittiest and grimiest people. The girl who plays Alice is okay. Again, I'm not going to harp too much on young actors, but she was just fine. Not the best, but she was serviceable. Nika is probably my favorite new addition to this franchise. Fiona Dourif, the daughter of the one and only Brad Dourif, the voice of Chucky, does a damn good job as this character. Everything in her performance feels so natural, and I honestly can't get enough of her, and her performances only get better as the series goes on. Chucky really isn't in the movie a whole lot, but I love that they made that decision. It helps complement the horror vibe, and like I mentioned a couple videos back, it's a tone more like the first film that I wish was carried more with some of the sequels. His personality, as well as Brad Dourif's performance, is toned out a bit since the last few movies, but again, it's a change-up that I really like. We're used to Chucky being this squirmy, loud, frantic little fuck, but most of that I felt derived from his determination to get out of the doll at all costs. We are now dealing with a Chucky who doesn't care that he's a doll and is just ready to cause chaos in any sadistic way he can, and I love every second of it. It also again does wonders for actually making Chucky scary again, and toys around with a lot of the suspense in the film. This movie also takes us into a further deep dive into Chucky's past, which is something I do like, but I'm also very mixed on. I like that we have Brad Dourif actually playing the human Charles Lee Ray, a character that hasn't been on screen since the OG Child's Play film, but the small piece of backstory they gave him has me a little mixed. While on the topic of Chucky, I feel like it's a good time to go over my negatives with this film, because despite me loving this film to death, it ain't perfect, and it has a bunch of problems. Not big ones, but ones that need to be acknowledged. Firstly, the use of VFX like the last film is not very good. It ain't as bad as the last movie, but when you notice it, it is pretty distracting. Chucky's design as well is pretty odd. I don't hate it, but I wouldn't say it's one of the best. There's also a pretty weird difference in the face department with the before and after the scars are revealed. Like, the normal looks like he's a little coked out and chubby, while the stitched up Chucky look is very simplified. Not bad, just a little weird. Also, what's probably my biggest issue with this film is that the continuity with it is kind of fucked in more ways than one. So, in this movie, we have the stitched up Chucky, the same one we've been following for 2 movies now. The one that is already fully human. But he gets stabbed and decapitated, and there's just no blood. For some reason. Also, going back to Chucky's backstory and him being pretty much romantically obsessed with Mika's mother just does not line up with what we've known Chucky to be like up to this point, and it especially does not hold up that much in terms of future entries. In this next point, I might have to get a bit ahead of myself, but I just have to bring this up. So this movie has 2 end credit scenes, one where Chucky possesses Alice, and one where he goes to kill Andy. So, in the next film, Cult of Chucky, it's revealed that sometime before the events of Curse, Chucky came back to life and found a spell to split his soul into separate entities. Okay, so that explains why we have 2 different Chuckys in this ending, but I have one question. Why are they both the stitched up version? I mean, we can assume the main Chucky, if you will, that we've seen all throughout this movie is the one that went after Andy, because we see him at the beginning of Cult of Chucky. Alrighty then, so where the hell did this motherfucker come from? Are there 2 stitched up Chucky dolls running around? If so, why? And how? Alright, this next point is completely separate from the negatives, but I just want to bring up that this movie's theme has to be my favorite Chucky theme ever. I know I didn't bring up any of the other themes in my last videos, so let me give you a quick little lightning round. Child's Play 1, great. Child's Play 2, iconic. Child's Play 3, mediocre. I don't even think Bride and Seed have one. Curse and by proxy Cult are my favorite. And I can't even describe why, it just sounds so eerie and cool. Overall, Curse of Chucky is a damn good movie. It does a great job at bringing this horror icon back to its roots with a chilling and gothic atmosphere, really cool kills, decent and great performances all around, and manages to be an outstanding love letter to longtime Chucky fans. Anyway, if you agree or disagree with anything I've said in this video, let me know right down there in the comments below. Also, be sure to like and subscribe. This is Darren at GB Productions, and take care.